Erev Tov Rabotai, we are continuing with our Mishna Yomi, Masechet Beitzah. We're up to Perek Gimel, Mishnah Bet. Today's Mishnayot should be Le'elul Nishmat, Neria ben Svetlana, Aranbayev, and Dadiyahu ben Burchai Israelov, Menuchatam beGan Eden, Amen, and Le'avdir ben Chaim L'Chaim, for the Refuah Shlema of Bacha bat Esther, and Daniel Shalom ben Rosa, Betoch Shai Chulei Israel. Items that one does not anticipate using on Yom Tov or Muktzeh, and may not be used or moved on Yom Tov. For this reason, animals living in the wild at the start of Yom Tov or Muktzeh, even if they become caught in a trap on Yom Tov. However, animals that had been caught in a trap before Yom Tov are not Muktzeh if one intended to use them on Yom Tov. The Mishnah discusses what may be done with animals found in traps on Yom Tov. The Mishnah begins, Mitzodot Haya v'of v'dagim shasa'an me'erev Yom Tov. If traps for wild animals, birds, and fish were set before Yom Tov, Lo yitol mehen biyom tov elim ken yodeh shenitzodu me'erev Yom Tov. One may not take the catch from these traps on Yom Tov unless he is certain they were caught before Yom Tov, in which case they may be taken and slaughtered and eaten on Yom Tov. However, if one is uncertain when they were caught, they are forbidden, meaning the Rav explains they may not be eaten or even be moved on Yom Tov, because they may be muktzeh, and the prohibition of muktzeh applies even to cases of doubt. Now the Rav and the Tosfot Yom Tov explain, although muktzeh is only a rabbinic prohibition, and the general rule is that rabbinic prohibitions do not apply in cases of doubt, nevertheless, in the opinion of this Tana, the sages were strict with muktzeh and prohibited it even in cases of doubt. Now Rabban Gamliel, however, disagrees and says that the sages did not prohibit muktzeh in cases of doubt. The Rav explains Rabban Gamliel's opinion is not actually stated here in the Mishnah, but it is clear from the story that we're going to cite below that he disputes the first Tana's ruling. The Gemara states that the line giving Rabban Gamliel's opinion is missing from the Mishnah, what we call chasuri michsara. The Mishnah relates a story, actually before that, therefore according to Rabban Gamliel, animals found in traps may be removed from them on Yom Tov. However, even Rabban Gamliel agrees that these animals, birds and fish, may not be eaten until after Yom Tov. He permits possible muktzeh only to be moved, not used, because moving muktzeh is a less severe prohibition than using it. Now the Mishnah relates a story in which Rabban Gamliel ruled this way in practice. There was an incident in which a certain non-Jew brought fish to Rabban Gamliel on Yom Tov. Rabban Gamliel did not know whether these fish had been caught on or before Yom Tov. And he, Rabban Gamliel, said, these fish are permitted and may be moved, but I do not wish to accept a gift from this person. Now, Rabban Gamliel did not want people to think he refused to accept the fish because they were muktzeh. Therefore, he went out of his way to explain that they could be accepted, but he did not want to take a gift from this particular non-Jew. And that is in a Mishnah Bet. Mishnah Gimel now continues, although one is permitted to perform the melachot of slaughtering and cooking on Yom Tov in order to prepare food for that day, one is not permitted to do these melachot to prepare food for after Yom Tov. Nevertheless, there are times when the sages did allow people to do these melachot even when their intention is not really for the sake of Yom Tov. Our Mishnah will discuss such a case and establish the guidelines for this leniency. The Mishnah begins, Be'ema misukenet, if an animal is in danger of dying on Yom Tov and the owner wishes to slaughter it so that its meat not become forbidden, because we know an animal that dies without being properly slaughtered is a nevelah and may not be eaten. Now the Mishnah speaks of a case where the owner has already eaten his festival meal and has no need for additional meat, but an animal of his became sick and was in danger of dying. The only reason he wishes to slaughter it now is to prevent its meat from becoming forbidden. Lo yishchot, the Mishnah says, Ele im ken yesh shut bayom le'echol mimena kazait salib. He may not slaughter it unless there is enough time remaining in the day to eat an olive-sized piece of roasted meat from it. Rashi explains roasting is the quickest way to cook meat. Now, since it is impossible to eat any of the meat unless the animal is slaughtered, eating even this small amount is enough to justify slaughtering the entire animal. Now, biblically speaking, if there is time to eat even one olive-sized piece of meat before the end of the day, it is permissible to slaughter the animal even if the meat is not actually eaten that day. This is based on the principle known as Ho'il v'i mikal le ochim. Literally, since if guests were to arrive who had not yet eaten, the more possibility that food might be used that day is enough to permit doing the melachot involved in preparing it. Although the sages prohibited doing so unless one truly expects to use the food on Yom Tov, they relaxed their rule to help prevent monetary loss and permitted a person to slaughter a dying animal as long as there is enough time left for someone to eat a small portion of it. However, if the animal is healthy, he may not slaughter it unless he has not yet eaten and truly intends to eat this meat as part of his holiday meal, as the commentaries explain. The Mishnah continues, Rabbi Akiva Omer afilu kazait chai mibet tevichata. Rabbi Akiva says he may slaughter the dying animal even if there is only enough time to eat an olive-sized piece of raw meat from the spot of its slaughter, that is, meaning from the neck. Now, Rabbi Akiva does not require that there be enough time to cook the meat or even skin it. As long as there is enough time left in the day to cut a piece of meat out of the neck, where the meat is already exposed from the cut made during the shchita, and eat it raw, it is permitted to slaughter the dying animal. And the Rav does tell us, Ve'en halakha ki Rabbi Akiva, the halakha does not follow the opinion of Rabbi Akiva. Now the Mishnah continues, Shechata basadeh, if he slaughtered the dying animal out in the field, meaning this makes it obvious to an onlooker that the animal was not slaughtered to prepare for the holiday meat, since if it had been, he would have brought it to his house and slaughtered it there. Lo yiviena bamot uvamota. He may not carry it back to his house on a pole or on a stretcher because this attracts too much attention and is disrespectful to the honor of Yom Tov. Although the sages permitted slaughtering this animal, since he would normally be forbidden to do so and was allowed to do it only because of the potential loss, he may not act in a way that attracts attention. Carrying an animal on a pole or stretcher requires at least two people and thereby causes others to notice. Aval mevi biado evarim evarim. However, he may bring the meat back limb by limb in his hand, cut into pieces, meaning even though this will require several trips. And that is in Rabotai Mishnah Gimel. Just to explain, previously when we spoke about Mishnah Bet, the Rav does point out over there, the halakha does not follow the opinion of Rabban Gimel, the halakha follows the opinion of the Tana Kama in Mishnah Bet. That is in Rabotai of today's Mishna Yomi. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen v'amen.